Imagine two people buying the exact same Rolex from different street vendors in Kampala. Hours later, one person is energized and ready for the day, while the other is dealing with severe stomach illness. What you choose to eat is only half the story. The other half involves how that food was handled, prepared, and protected before it ever reached your plate. This is the distinction between diet and nutrition. Your diet is simply the food you consume. Nutrition is the process of your body extracting the right chemical substances, the nutrients, to grow and repair, regardless of how large the meal is. Let's look at this split-screen infographic. On the left side, we see undernutrition. This happens when a person fails to take in enough essential vitamins and minerals to keep their body functioning. On the right side of the screen, we see the opposite problem, overnutrition. This occurs when a body takes in an extreme excess of sugars and fats. People often equate the word malnutrition exclusively with starvation, but as we can see by comparing these two profiles, malnutrition simply means bad nutrition. It covers both extremes. Preventing malnutrition requires a deliberate balance of useful chemical substances. Eating massive plates of plain pasho might leave you feeling completely full, but without vegetables or proteins, your body is still starving for nutrients. Our feeding habits are heavily dictated by our environment. People living near large bodies of water, like Lake Victoria, naturally incorporate fresh fish as a staple in their daily meals. Specific dishes are also shaped by cultural traditions passed down through generations, yielding regional dishes like luwambo in the central region or malewa in the east. Religious boundaries strictly enforce certain restrictions as well. Observant Muslims, for example, adhere to dietary rules that prohibit the consumption of pork. A family's diet is the deliberate intersection of the local climate, cultural beliefs, and their household autonomy. Once a crop is harvested, it must be secured against waste. We rely on two methods for this: food processing and food preservation. The distinction between them lies entirely in the end goal of the action. In this comparative table, the left side illustrates food processing. This is the act of changing a raw material into a completely new form, like milling tough maize cobs into fine, edible maize flour. The right side illustrates food preservation. Here, the goal is specifically to treat the food to halt or slow down bacterial spoilage, like smoking a fresh tilapia so it lasts for months. Let's test this concept. Look at this chopped white cassava drying in the sun. Based on the end goal of the action, are you observing processing or preservation? If you identified this as preservation, you are correct. Drying the cassava removes the moisture bacteria need to survive. A household must master both processing and preservation to ensure they have food stored safely through the dry seasons. Even perfectly preserved food can become a hazard. Common household pests like flies and cockroaches transfer dangerous germs the instant they make contact with an uncovered meal. All the effort spent farming, processing, and preserving food is completely erased if the final kitchen environment is unsanitary. The food cycle does not end when the meal is finished. The final requirement for a hygienic home is the safe management of household refuse. Look at this diagram of a proper compost pit. The very bottom layer must consist of twigs and branches. This creates a foundation that guarantees constant airflow from beneath. On top of those twigs, we deposit biodegradable kitchen scraps, like matoke peels and maize cobs. We cover those scraps with a layer of dry leaves and seal the entire pit with a thin layer of topsoil. This specific sequence provides naturally occurring bacteria with the oxygen required to break down the materials. Instead of leaving rotting garbage in the compound to attract pests, you create rich, organic fertilizer for future crops. As this flowchart shows, food technology operates as a continuous closed loop. It starts with selecting a balanced diet, moves through safe processing and hygienic preparation, and ends with proper refuse disposal. By controlling how food is handled at every stage, from the market stall to the compost pit, you secure your own nutrition and protect your community from disease. Ultimately, good health always starts in the kitchen.